Welcome to the channel. Today we are going to talk about how ENFJ personality type deals with breakup. Breakup, and the pain it brings is unfortunately a very common human experience. If you are going through it right now, please know, you are not alone in this. Almost everyone had to go through a breakup at some point, but this does not mean that recovering from this experience is easy. Each individual has their own process they need to go through in order to successfully cope with a breakup. What may speed up recovery for one person may be useless or even harmful for another. This is why it is so important to understand how each personality type deals with the breakup and what may help on the road to recovery. ENFJs develop very deep connections with others. They truly invest themselves and every resource they have into their relationships. So, when a relationship falls apart, it may feel devastating for an ENFJ. When ENFJs love someone, they may experience fear of abandonment and betrayal by this person, and if a breakup happens, the ENFJ feels like their worst fears came to life. On the surface, ENFJ will try to act as they are moving on and keeping themselves together. ENFJs often have a lot of people around them, and they want to stay strong for the loved ones, who may depend on them emotionally or even financially. During the post-breakup period, an ENFJ may try to connect with people even more than usual, in order to keep themselves distracted from the heartbreak. ENFJs are generally very in touch with their feelings, because they constantly study how their own feelings and emotions work. In the event of a breakup, ENFJs tend to ruminate on their feeling a lot, prolonging the pain of the breakup. This process might not be visible to people around them, but inside, ENFJs are going through every little detail of why the relationship fell apart, and what they could have done differently. They are going to dissect every word, every fight and every event that led to the breakup, and in the end, regardless of what happened, an ENFJ often arrives at the conclusion that it's all their fault. ENFJs have a tendency to blame themselves for failed relationships. They take pride in how well they understand human nature and how they can read someone's feelings. So when a romantic relationship falls apart, an ENFJ may feel like they failed to understand their partner needs, which in turn created unhappiness in the relationship. And so, in addition to grieving the relationship, ENFJ also might feel like they are a failure. Here is how some ENFJs describe their feelings during a breakup.
I know what the pain of relationships ending is. It's such a struggle knowing that you put in so much effort and it doesn't end the way you expect it to. For me, I try to process my emotions rationally since they can be overbearing, and take a step back to look at my situation from a different perspective.
I recently went through a breakup. I have to say the hard part is the acceptance. We tend to feel that there are things we could have done to make things right or bring it to the next level. My breakup of the last relationship happened like 1 year and 4 months ago, but took me that long to accept it. Once you accept it, it is much easier.
I feel like I have invested so much of myself into this relationship. I always tried to make her smile and to be there for her when she needed me. Gradually, I noticed that something was missing. She stopped telling me about how things are going with her family, and eventually put a lot of emotional distance between us. I feel like if we had only communicated our expectations better, we would have been so much happier.
Internally, ENFJs are always processing their feelings, and they do want to recover from the breakup and return to their normal compassionate and energetic self. And there are generally two ways an ENFJ might go after the breakup. When it comes to dealing with a breakup, a lot depends on the ENFJ's level of maturity, as they generally can choose either a healthy way to cope with the breakup or an unhealthy way. In both cases, an ENFJ is going to try and connect with other people. But if they are going down the unhealthy path, there will be a lot of partying and indulgence involved. They might engage in a series of short-lived rebounds, just to keep themselves distracted from painful thoughts and emotions. They will go out every night, partying, drinking and eating junk food. This is a typical behavior for an ENFJ when they are under a lot of stress or in emotional pain. But as ENFJs are remarkably self-aware, eventually, they will realize that this path only prolongs the suffering, as they are not actually dealing with what's going on inside. Once they arrive at this realization, then, hopefully, they will switch to healthier ways of dealing with the breakup. When an ENFJ deals with heartbreak in a healthy way, they also tend to connect with other people. But here, they discuss their feelings and seek to understand the situation from other perspectives, often asking their loved ones for advice and opinion. They might even turn to a psychologist. Having these conversations with people help ENFJs process their feelings and cope with the heartbreak. This process is incredibly important and healing for an ENFJ, as it strengthens their connections with other people and shows an ENFJ that although they are in pain, they are not alone, they are still loved and valued by their friends and family. Another healthy way that ENFJs choose to deal with a breakup is self-development. An ENFJ will process the situation and use it as another insight into human behavior and themselves. They will take it as a lesson and use it to grow. Sometimes it manifests as deep focus on their work or their health. And when that happens, this is usually a very good sign, which means that an ENFJ is on a healthy road to recovery, and they chose to grow from the situation, instead of going down the wild party animal path. In general, ENFJs are not the type to move on from a breakup quickly. They build their relationships to last, and when it breaks apart, ENFJs do not take it lightly. Even if on the surface level an ENFJ seems to be fine, fully processing what happened will take some time for them, and will likely leave a few scars on the ENFJ's soul. ENFJs feel things very deeply, so when something as painful as a breakup happens, it is likely to deeply affect an ENFJ. As a result, they may become very cautious when it comes to the future relationships. The fear of betrayal and abandonment might become so strong that it will negatively affect a new relationship. And this is where it becomes very important for an ENFJ to let go. For an ENFJ, letting go of the heartbreak of the failed relationship means dealing with their emotions, even if they do not want to. First and foremost, letting go for them means forgiving themselves. It does not matter whether it was the ENFJ who initiated the separation or the other person, they still feel that they failed the relationship and their partner. ENFJs often feel like they are responsible for everyone's happiness. For them, when a relationship lacks happiness and breaks, it means they have failed their mission. It is essential for an ENFJ to recognize that it is not their responsibility to keep their partner happy at all times. If an ENFJ does not let go of that self-blame, they are likely to carry it through to the next relationship, where an ENFJ might feel very cautious, in the fear of failing again. This caution will prevent them from fully opening up to their new partner, and will ultimately negatively affect the new relationship. Many ENFJs report that journaling and helping others help them to accept that the breakup was not their fault and ultimately let it go. To conclude, ENFJs experience heartbreak very deeply, even if on the surface they seem like they are fine. They will want to connect with other people to cope with the breakup, but there is a positive and a negative way to do it. In order to move past heartbreak, it is essential for an ENFJ to let go of self-blame and self-hatred. When they are able to forgive themselves for the failed relationship, this is when they are ready to build a new, healthier and happier relationship. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to support our project.